Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back. Well, the wonderful thing about homeschooling is that you can make your own schedule. Now, this is not a homeschooling video, but we have started our homeschooling for the year, which is why I have not been putting out videos as regularly. We start early, but we take a lot of days off in the fall to harvest, to can, to deal with all of the food items, and then we're also done early in the spring. But we have started for this year, and that is why I haven't been putting videos out as much. Trying to change up the schedule a bit so that I do get the videos out regularly again. So this is the week 14 garden update. I don't really have any planting tricks this week because things are planted. But I am starting to get harvest. I've got all kinds of beans coming in. I've got flowers coming in, calendula, nasturtium, marigolds, borage, all flowering, all coming in. Onions are starting to come in, or I should say the tops are starting to get floppy on the onions. So I'm starting to pick those. The potatoes, there's still a little bit of green there, so I'm gonna wait at least another week before we dig those up, maybe even two. The peas are pretty much done coming in, and everything else is growing. I don't have any tomatoes yet, but there's some that hopefully will be soon, because tomatoes. The arches are starting to fill in nicely. I love how these look with the beans hanging down. We've got the purple beans, the blauhilds here, and the second arch is the runner beans. The pumpkin's getting bigger. We've had to coil it around a little bit. Looks like we need to do some more today. The Yamato cream watermelon is growing quite well. And the cherry tomatoes are as well. They're about almost 4 feet tall already. The southern peas have grown a lot in the last 2 weeks. And right there on the purple trellis, the rattlesnake beans, there's just a couple, there are like 4. They are growing really tall now. And the dry beans are just massive. And pinto beans are loaded down. The new zucchini, it looks like I'm only going to get 2 of those. But the new bush beans are growing quite well. And the sunflowers are huge. The post that ends there is 8 feet tall for reference. So looking at 9 feet on that one and about 10 feet for that one. Tiny little cayenne peppers. My wild, crazy oregano. And the Arikara sunflower. While the zucchini and cucumbers are getting huge, we've had some issues. Looks like some kind of disease. I gotta look that up. I already pulled one plant out because it had a vine borer in it and was half dead. The cucumbers look fine though. There's even some small cucumbers forming. Little itty bitty ones. I've been getting pretty good harvest off the basil too. The calendula is blooming. The corn pretty much stood back up. However, it tasseled way too short, and it's putting on ears though, so I guess we'll see what we get. The tomatoes have officially passed the trellis, at least some of them. Now there's a couple different things that can cause your corn to tassel and put on ears too soon. One is being stressed, which our bodies act weird when we're stressed too, so that kind of makes sense. Another one is a lack of nutrients. Now, I don't think the corn ever got too dry, because in the past I have like literally not watered it ever, and it didn't do that. But this is one of the beds that we put in last year with the soil that we actually got delivered, which is the only time I've ever done that. And I think I have noticed a lack in nutrition and water retention in that soil as compared to my homemade stuff that I put my own compost on. So it could be both of those factors, actually. With the lack of moisture retention, it would need watered more often than in the other soil. And I didn't really water it, well, maybe once or twice. I don't water a lot around here, but I did maybe water it a couple times. So it did get more than, you know, say the other side of the yard. But if you add the moisture retention problem to the lack of nutrients, and it's not a huge lack of nutrients, I think it's just a slight one, but it definitely would explain why it tasseled this short. So that means if I was going to plant corn again there next year, I would need to add some of my own homemade compost. However, I didn't really want to plant corn on this side because it doesn't really need watering that much. But some other things didn't work out. I wanted to put sweet potatoes here, and my sweet potatoes died. So it is going to go back on the other side next year anyway, or possibly somewhere else. So I don't need to worry about amending the bed for the corn next year here. I may need to amend whatever bed I use for it. I haven't actually done my plan for next year yet. I see a baby cucumber. The sugar baby watermelons on this side are just not that happy. It's better than trying to grow them in the flat ground, but they still don't like it. Now, as for the mounds that the watermelon are growing in, between the sugar babies here and the Yamato cream on the other side, they are both literally out of the same wheelbarrow full of mixed soil. The difference over here is it gets watered more often, but it also doesn't have as good of a soil underneath the mounds, whereas where the Yamato cream are, there's really good soil underneath the mound. So I'm not sure if it's a variety or if it's still a soil issue. But they just don't seem to like to grow over here, which is sad because that's where they get more water. Now, if we like the Yamato cream, maybe I'll just plant those next year and see if they grow over here better than the sugar babies do. The dill is growing well, the borage is growing well, there's a ton of tomatoes, the nasturtiums and the marigolds, they're all doing well. And tomatoes are huge. And the beets seem to be growing really well down in between the tomatoes. I did get the hot pepper bed cleaned out. Unfortunately, a couple of plants died. Most of them still don't look very happy, but they're mostly growing somewhat. Well, that about wraps it up for today. Thanks for coming along with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. May the Father bless you. Shalom. Hi, Braden.